Oh yeah, this is adventure.
This is just what I've been looking for.
Oh, you're the person here to give me puzzles, right?
Puzzles?
Yeah.
Hardly. Prepare to die.
Oh, Okay. There has got to be an easier way to have an adventure. Oh, man. Huh? Alright. Let's go on our adventure together as we discover Castle Crashers. Released back in 2008, this 2D beat-em-up was originally created, once again, by people based out of the web-based Flash games. So, with the amount of deep complexity that we saw in Thomas Was Alone, I'm sure that the developer The Behemoth has just as much depth and... Their logo's a giant chicken? Well, I'm sure their humor is still of the utmost... Okay, so maybe the Behemoth is known for making games that are more crazy, immature, violent, and absolutely insane. And I love them for it. Alright, there are two things that you need to get down in order to understand this story and play the game. First step, take all logic and reason. Step 2, take your controller. Choose which buttons you're going to press for the maximum optimization of your movements and attacks. Get good! So our story begins with our stalwart knight rocking out to calm, funky music. A dead guy comes bouncing into the room, covered in bloody gore with an arrow in him, and upon rushing out the door to avenge him, the king has this enormous gem stolen by a floating wizard. And thus our adventure is on its way! The action starts immediately as you're rushed by barbarians, keeping you from reaching the four princesses in time. You fight your way through them, trying to get out of the castle, the epic battle music all around you. You are dumped down onto an immense world map. This map is the hub world around each level. There are shops scattered throughout the world, as well as arenas where you can fight a never-ending onslaught of enemies. The best spot on the map, though, is the blacksmith's home. There you can go into the barn and get your animal orbs that you found in the game. Each player can have one animal orb with them, and each one changes your stats in some small but significant way, such as giving you a higher jump, slow health regen, or helps you find secrets. There's also the giant frog. Inside of his intestines are stored all of the weapons you've unlocked, so you can run inside of him and upgrade your gear. Now, I know things just took a really strange turn out of nowhere, but I think I can explain them. In the book series Old Mother Westwind by Thornton Burgess, we see the character of Grandfather Frog, and he... Back on the world map, there's a little arrow pointing to where you go next to continue the story. There's hardly a moment to pause for breath once you're in a level, as hordes of enemies are thrown at you all at once. As you fight your way through the barbarians' camp to try and rescue the princesses, there is one thing that any player will quickly realize. This game is hard. Either that or I suck at it. But come on, there's so many enemies on the screen all at once, and this is still the opening levels. Well, never fear. This game was meant to be played with friends. Minion!
Los Casas Crashers.
Los Casas Crashers. Now, the game can be played with up to 4 people at once, but I only have one spare controller, so you'll have to do. With our powers combined, we can enter the barbarian lair. The princesses are on poles, awaiting rescue, and we must face the ultimate barbarian! This boss fight sets the tone for what the game is like. Watch the patterns, the bosses are scary, but every time his eyes go too wide, or he gets ready to flip himself over the arena, or he belches fire and goes flying backwards, you remember how ridiculous this game is. Upon his defeat, a giant chest appears, raining money and jewels upon us, and the remaining princess is mine!
Oh, hold on there, she's mine.
I'm player 1, I get the princess. I hate you.
Told ya.
Next one is mine.
Of course.
Fine. With each level, you gain 2 more points to put into several RPG-like stats that change your abilities at the end of each section. Or when you die. The stats are Strength, Defense, Magic, and Agility. I went for a pure Magic build, while Myth split Agility and Strength. All the damage and no health, but I'm sure we'll be fine. We can't set out across the sea yet, so the adventure sends us through the decimated lands of the barbarians, into the thieves' territory. We're right behind the princesses, but something big is coming. Something really big that's terrifying the wildlife. If all the animals are so afraid, and we even see the thieves running, what can it be? A giant bear? Even that thing is afraid! What on earth could this huge, evil enemy be? What is that thing? Kill it with fire! Kill it with nature! Kill it with bones! Thank God it's dead.
Yeah, What's that?
My ear's shaking. It's dead!
Who cares? Follow the poop deer!
Okay, we'll be fine in here.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't.
You know, in Freud's work, New Introductory Lectures on Psychoanalysis, he brings up the concept of the id. Now, since we're living in a world of magic and chaos, we could be facing a literal interpretation of the knight's... So the id, giant monster, runs you through a logging mill as the game makes you jump logs and pass through doorways, ending as you leap off into a river. This is absolutely miserable. This whole section is. Like, are there harder parts? Yes. Are there parts that are more frustrating, where I've died more? Definitely. But do any of those make me saltier than the Dead Sea? No! You can only move and act by jumping out of the water and spinning. So if you're a mage, that means you have no damage throughout all of this level. No matter what stat you put your points in, you're not going to be able to really move around well enough to dodge enemies. So how can you play freely, you might ask? Well, there's floating wood, friendly sharks, and goldfish throughout the river that you can jump on, and you'll get full mobility back. If you jump and you move, they'll automatically follow under you. So no big deal, right? Well, no! They still throw enemies at you in the river. There are unfriendly sharks and rocks, both of which will knock you back off your platform instantly, and there are bats that lock you down for several seconds, giving the other obstacles free rein to smash into you. And if you're ever off that platform, you can forget about getting it back. The water sweeps it away, and you have to just desperately jump around and pray until a new one shows up. And that you may or may not be able to catch and land on, depending on which side of the bed the RNG gods woke up on that morning. And then there are the dogfish. These things will lunge at you, knocking you off your platform at any distance if you don't kill them or dodge them. So how do you kill them? You get up close. How do you dodge them? Not up close, that's for sure. And even if you're in the water, they essentially air juggle you backwards. And if you hit a solid object or the edge of the screen, they combo you. I'm done. No, not doing this. I'm not doing this.
So anyway, after I display my unholy archery skills, there's another of these dogfish.
Another one!
And gets cannonballed? Yeah, back up. Just in time for a literal catfish. Honestly, this boss fight is easier than the level that preceded it. Stand in front of the ship, break the hairball, punch the cat in the teeth repeatedly when it's stunned, then don't stay in one place for more than a second. Rinse, repeat. Even without a platform, you can pull it off, but a catfish. And why is it getting ridden by a bear? How can a fish get hairballs? How do they float? Why does the king only have 2 teeth? No, seriously, 2! He's the king! Can't he afford some better dental insurance? And a catfish! Catfish! I got nothing.
Well, actually, in the theories of quantum mechanics, as ironically explained in Alice in Quantum Land, we see the idea of literal Cheshire cats. And so once I'm allowed to play again, we've washed up on a shore in the grasslands inhabited by the strangely apathetic bears. They're honestly not that difficult when faced with Myth's air juggling. I was, napping. A few classic beat-em-up screens before... What? No, go back to being apathetic, please! I'm noticing a trend forming.
You too? Let's go buy some more pots.
So... after wiping 2 more times, we get to move on past the surprisingly energetic bear to the... Oh yeah, there are princesses we're trying to rescue. Quickly! Follow them into the caves, dripping in blood and ooze, past the giant bat that... poops on us? And seriously, what? The king comes back now? Not when we're fighting the whirlwind bear, not when we're fighting the 2 bears on steroids, not when we found the princesses, but now! When all possible threats are cleared out and there's a room full of treasure to steal from us. No, seriously. If you don't get there first, the king steals all the gold. He's an unlockable character, right?
Let's unlock him, just so we can kill him a lot.
I like the way you think. So moving on from the worthless king, there are 2 paths forwards. One is an industrial plant, and the princess is right there. But we can't break down the giant iron door, so we have to put up with a foppish man hurling insults at us.
Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberry.
So instead, it's on to the ultimate danger of a beautiful field of flowers. What can be dangerous about it? Oh god, no! Not the bees! No! No, they're in my game! They're in... Oh god! Oh good, they're dead. Oh please, sweet Yoshi, no! No, not the bees! Not the bees! Oh god, no!
So, anyway, you reach the end of the field and you get in the king's catapults and you launch yourself onto the ramparts of a castle. And you fight your way down them and you kick in a window and land on a wedding cake all ready to bust up a wedding. Hey, Otter, you got anything for this?
Actually, yes! In the classic Fiddler on the Roof, the Russians
Yeah, good for them.
After fighting your way through the inside of the castle to the front, you are supposed to engage in a giant epic battle with a cannon organ. Finally, something I don't have to question, because you know, every villain there has ever been has wanted one of those. But like I said, supposed to. See, the fight's supposed to go in rounds, where he comes down from his organ, you beat the crap out of him, or more accurately, he beats up you. And then at a certain threshold of damage, he runs back to the organ and launches another wave of cannonballs at you in increasingly harder to dodge patterns. But we cheesed it. Remember, this princess is mine, Myth.
Actually, I think she's his.
That was kind of sad.
I almost felt it.
I mean, he doesn't know his best friend is a bad guy. He's not to him.
And I was standing on his face.
Awkward.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we don't have to catch him. Come on, how would we catch up with him with this much of a lead now, right? Now we're riding on top of his carriage, fighting off evil henchmen, and after firing ourselves out of the organ to catch up, forget the sad moment. Let's do this! And the it is back.
A giant monster! Bring it!
Kill it with knives! We are awesome! In the next cave, we find the carriage, but it's been abandoned. Our princess is further along. We must exit the cave to lava. Hang on, a minute ago we were in a green and lush forest, and then we entered a cave, and now lava? Even back in more caves, it's lava again, out of nowhere. Now, in the board book, We're going on a bear hunt by Michael Rosen. The landscape.
Really, dude? Really?
More classic fighting through the caves to the next boss where big, tall, and loose goose is waiting. Just dodge his knives and he's not too hard. Then again, my vines make boss fights way easier. We don't even actually kill him, he's just too blinded by grief to look where he's going.
He'll be back.
He's dead.
I'm a skeleton. Your point is...
Forget points. Money! By the way, this princess is mine, remember that.
Yeah. Hang on, I got something for you.
What?
Me!
We travel next to Hell, where certain princess-stealing skeletons belong.
I said sorry.
It doesn't count if you're laughing. Everything here is on fire as we fight demons. The villages are frozen in ash like Pompeii, but don't worry. The signs specifically let you know there are no active volcanoes around. We even get to take a break from beating up demons, and I get the pleasure of beating up foes that look exactly like Myth.
I said sorry.
The issue is that when you're fighting enemies that you're playing as, it gets really difficult to tell who you are, especially when there's this many of them. The main point behind this area, though, is to discover the sandwich. This item lets you beef up for a couple seconds and go on a roid rampage on anything around you with your new, massive size. That comes in very handy when the boss of this area is a giant, active, anthropomorphic volcano. I guess you can't believe all advertising. But then the real boss of the level rears its head. It's a massive demon with a sock puppet on one hand. I'm not even gonna try. You can only hit it by being far enough up the mountain where you can jump and throw distance magic across the screen. But not so high up, the sock puppet will kill you, which is not a phrase I thought I would ever say. Go too low, he breathes fire on you, and if you stay right in the zone, he drops boulders on you. Not an easy boss compared to the others, but definitely different. At least there's no princesses for anyone to steal.
I said sorry.
But you're not.
No, not in the slightest.
Before we can continue the story, we get a cutscene of the Necromancer and the Wizard resurrecting the Cyclops out of the lava.
Told ya.
And no one cared. Let's go storm the industrial plant. The sandwich lets us break into the plant with ease, causing the coward to run away deeper into his factory. This is possibly one of the coolest levels, as instead of just fighting through each screen, a lot of these challenges are timing puzzles themed around industry and machines. Even the boss has multiple parts, each of which has their own attack patterns. The problem is that they each have their own part of the boss's total health bar, so a lot of them never really get to attack around the thorn magic. Upon his defeat, the princess is stolen away, and he's left alone on a ledge with us. Oh yeah, buddy, it's time. This is... Wait, really? Yeah, Ice Castle, Blonde Princess is over there, we got a telescope. Yay, are we gonna leave this prick? We slaughter everything around us, and we leave him? Come on, drop the ball, guys. Fine. Let's go across the ocean and deal with the princess. What's the worst that happens there? We get attacked by... ninjas? I think I figured it out. In the Book of Five Rings, Water, it says, read this book, read a word, and ponder on it. We must treat this game the same, and ponder on it, determining what it truly means. The zone on the other side of the ocean is sand. A pretty simple level, not very confusing. It's like the game is just starting to tick the boxes for a level that needs to be made. The forest world, the desert world, the water world, what's next, an alien world?
Any more brilliant things you want to say?
At least it's quiet now with the horde gone.
Run! Your observations suck!
At least there's an escape pod.
Yeah, one. It's mine.
Let me in! Hang on, let me in! No! Let me in! Let me in! Escaping the alien ship leads us to an Arabic-looking level, leading you through Middle Eastern houses, fighting beefy Arabs. I was too intimidated by their appearance and unprepared, resulting in our death.
You suck at this!
Next run I was ready, though. What horrific boss could face us this time? I hope the Behemoth aren't going to be racially insensitive with their... volleyball game? No, seriously, we play a volleyball game to gain possession of a map across the desert. The road to the next castle is blocked by some kind of wall, so we must find a horn. To the villagers! The Necromancer who resurrected the Cyclops is hounding us every step of the way. But in no time at all, he backs off and we can help the villagers with their problem. So they'll give us a horn. The problem seems to be druids, right?
As much of an annoyance as you are, it seems to be that earlier boss.
Alright, let's beat that. And that wasn't the problem either. Okay, so it was the druids. What does that have to do with this area, though? I mean, there's gotta be a real boss. Maybe with all this corn, it'll be a reference to he who walks... It's literally corn. It's a giant corn on the cob that spits out popcorn as you beat it up. What? And why does it feel like I'm doing all the work all of a sudden?
Welcome.
From feet of the monster rains popcorn upon the masses, and we are given the almighty horn. Back to the wall, and blow it like you're a foghorn on the cape. The snacks never end, and the new enemies are swamp fish that magically gain a lemon and tasting fork upon death. I'm not sure I'd ever be hungry enough to eat anything out of water that green, but hey, I'm not a peasant. And again, they all have popcorn now. The boss to this area is a Medusa, with her one boot and hair full of leeches.
I think those are supposed to be mini snakes.
But if they're mini snakes, why don't they have tails? And plus, does that mean she's just instantly shedding out of anger to us?
Let's just call them leeches.
They're leeches.
We're on to the next checkmark off the list, on ice level. With snowballs all over the screen and far too many foes, I really wish I had another controller to balance things out.
Boss,
But we'll manage on our own.
I'll manage while he's dead.
Then again, maybe we need a new animal companion. Gondor calls for... Oh god, no, not the bipolar bear. The psychotic thing mauls anything at low health, even allies. Quick, away into the cave!
It's kinda cute.
Why did you bring it with you?
Cause it's more adorable than the ram.
Yeah, but the ram is more useful.
We carry on to the Ice King's castle. There's some puzzles around dodging ice blasts and arrows, there's a few small fights, and then it's another fight for the princess. The ice boss is a bit difficult because his attack patterns aren't always clear. Whenever he stands still to taunt though, he loses to the vines. Alright, I did most of the work on that boss, and you literally got a boss not 10 minutes ago. Let me have... We didn't even start yet!
You insist I got the ram back. And anyway, the ladies can't resist my bones.
Just forget it. Let's take this to the wizard. Upon arriving at the wizard's castle, you see the bosses that have tormented you must face. The necromancer, the cyclops, the wizard, and what's with the toolbox? Before you can stop it, the castle lifts off into the sky. You take off like rockets for reasons. Avoiding the rocks isn't very hard, which is good because they take off so much of our health.
Glass cannons all the way, bro.
Inside the castle, there's a few fights against mini-wizards before several glowing doorways. Passing through the first, we're in a room of canvases and paint. This is a really weird boss fight. The guy with a toolbox on his head descends from a scaffold and paints figures to attack you. And then at half health, he summons all of his possible drawings at once as they run around the screen making weird noises.
Did we just do drugs?
I think this is real.
Do we have any drugs to make it feel okay?
Once he's defeated, you smash up a giant purple crystal and the next doorway drops, letting you into the rematch of the century! The fight alternates between the Cyclops fighting you beefsteak to casket, and the Dead Knight rushing you with musical invincibility. Even the sock puppet demon is silently judging you from the background. They're allowed up to heaven upon death as another purple crystal crumbles to let you forwards. Now begins my least favorite boss in the game. The Necromancer will summon all the enemies that you face throughout the game to fight you among the piles of the dead. The problem is that with all of the dead bodies there, it's impossible to tell when you're going to hit someone or stand still swinging at the air like there's a pesky mosquito. Then when you throw multiple sandwich enemies into the mix in a small arena teeming with strong foes, the fight ends up becoming something that we needed 3 tries to beat one boss.
Or we suck.
It's too hard.
Far too hard.
The final doorway leads to a rising platform. The tiny wizard looks down on you from his throne, and the final boss fight commences! Stage 1 is a bunch of flying orbs that will try and smash into you. Just dodge and give him the nature! Upon seeing you are worthy opponents, he gets down off his throne casting magic. When his bubble is blue, you have to use magic against him.
When it turns red, you can only hit him with physical attacks. Or if you're us, blue means nature, and red means he just doesn't take any damage.
Hey, I did, yeah, pretty much.
The boss's third form sees him become a human balloon and turn the ground into a bullet hell. He's really annoying to hit, but with that final hit, the treasure chest crushes him like all the other bosses. Time to finish this game and... Right as you've won, they throw another part of the boss fight at you. And this thing's creepier than some stuff I've seen in my nightmares lately.
We're still fighting, clearly haven't won.
Yeah, well, the chest dropped. I'm owed money. I'm gonna beat it out of this thing like a piñata. Once beaten, he'll resume the ball form, dropping even more light balls to destroy you. Okay, this time, he's dead. Just look at that face, that little desperate hand, reaching out. Oh, come on! This is long. This is exhausting. And if you lost this fight at any point, you start all the way over.
Yay, glass cannons.
The new sword form allows him to summon meteors from the sky that hit you if you stand still. To hit him, you must jump in the air, closer to the meteors, and stand still. Okay, we are almost there. What's the next form? Come on. Wait, he's dead? He's dead! We land on the gem. I get to catch the princess, and the fight is over. As the credits scroll, we fly through each of the zones we fought in earlier, seeing the incredible piles of dead bodies that we left in our wake. The only living things seem to either be in danger or mourning, or is an incredibly apathetic bear. The game ends as it began, with us rocking out to the soothing tunes, except now everybody's there. Ghost Organ Dude, the princess asserts skeleton stole, even the horned frog has his tongue untied. Dude, the king's bringing the last princess in. This one is mine.
Nah, I got the rest. Let's just finish the set.
Come on, I deserve to get one of them. I did all of that work earlier. Come, bring it. Ah! Ha! I win. You can't stop me. I get this. I hate you. In the end, Castle Crashers was the perfect game to play with friends. Gather them around, laugh at each other, dying, steal their princesses, and just have a generally great, weird time. On every playthrough of the game, you'll unlock more characters to play with. For example, on Myth and Mai's playthrough, we unlocked the apathetic bear. He looks a lot more happy in that picture. As you can probably also tell, Myth and I were playing with unlocked characters instead of the base 4 knights on the cover. So we've played this a lot of times. The game stops being nearly as fun, though, when you try and play it on your own. There are just too many enemies and not enough time to deal with them all. On top of that, when we would die in the game, the potions auto-refill our health because we're in a party unless one of us is already dead. On your own, you die, the potion doesn't bring you back, so you have to manage keeping out whatever item you need at the time and keep yourself topped up with potions. There were no major glitches in my playthrough of the game. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a glitch playing this game. And yes, I am aware that there's an insane mode to the game. You can only play with characters who have beaten the wizard already, and all the enemies are harder, the stuff's more expensive, the whole game is just ridiculously difficult suddenly. Now you may say, you guys have played the game a lot, why don't I see any footage of that? Because in my opinion, that mode is only for the truly masochistic. And do I look like a masochist to you? Don't answer that. The best part of the game is possibly the soundtrack. It's just as crazy and wacky as the game itself is, and honestly, I could listen to it forever. In contrast, though, the worst part is the back-off barbarian minigame. Worst except for the river. It's not technically bad, but it is simple. Essentially, you play as the various characters that you've unlocked, going across a grid map, pressing the directional button to move to the next square and running away from barbarians. If they catch you, you die, game over. It's interesting for the first time or two that you play it, but after that it really just feels kind of boring. Although it is still better than the old minigame, All You Can Quaff, it really isn't involved in the game at all, so it really doesn't get a mention here. In the end, I would definitely say Castle Crashers is a yes for anyone who has a group of friends to play with, and if you don't, find a group of friends just to play this game. Go. Go, 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 go.